Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and today I'm bringing you a TBR video. Lots of readathons are happening in the month of June, and I'm going to be participating in 3 of them. The HEA-athon, the FeelGoodathon, and the Readathon Diaries, which is a Vampire Diaries based readathon. So I know we have a lot to get through, so I'm just going to go through the prompts and tell you what I'm going to be reading for each of those prompts. I am going to be doubling up books on a lot of these prompts just because doing 3 readathons, I can only read so many books in a month. I don't want to make like an insane TBR and then not succeed, you know? So the first readathon I'm going to be talking about is the HEA-athon, and that was created by Cassidy at Cassidy Reads in Alexandria at Beautiful Bitch Book Reviews. And that is going on through June 1st through the 7th, and they created a really cool bingo card, which I will insert the graphic. So as soon as you complete a prompt, you check it off and hopefully get bingo. So the first 3 prompts are new to you author, taboo or forbidden romance, and curvy heroine. And for those 3 prompts, I'm going to be reading Neighborly by Katrina Jackson. It's got the curvy girl rep, as you can see from the cover. I've never read Katrina Jackson before, so that's why it's a new to me author. And then it's taboo or forbidden because it does feature a polyamorous relationship. The next 2 prompts are book from 2020, so a new book released this year, and a book with a name in the title. And for that one, I'm going to be reading Chasing Cassandra by Lisa Kleypas. This is book number 6, I believe, in the Ravenels series, which is a historical romance featuring the Ravenels siblings. In this book, we follow Cassandra and Tom Severin. Severin is completely beguiled by Cassandra at first glance, and he is just compelled to have her. But she has made a vow to herself to only marry for love, and he thinks that he can't give that to her. But when someone tries to ruin Cassandra's reputation, he sees his opportunity to get what he wants and make her his. The next prompt is to read a novel set in a different country, and for that one I'm going to be reading Brazen and the Beast by Sarah MacLean. This is book number 2 in the Bare Knuckle Bastard series. This could also be used for the curvy heroine space. In this book we follow Henrietta, who is turning 29, and she has vowed that this is the year that is just going to be for her. She's going to inherit her father's business and just live her life for herself, not have to worry about any man. But before she does that, she wants a little taste of the pleasure that she is going to deny herself when she becomes a spinster. So on her way to do just that, she finds a man tied up in her carriage. Once she frees him and he finds out what she was up to that night, he vows that the only pleasure that she's going to receive is from him. The next prompt is to read a book with a black cover, and for that one I'm reading Furyborn by Claire Legrand. I'm sure you know all about this book. It's very hyped on BookTube. A lot of people loved it, including my friend Lex. I kind of have high expectations for this book just because of the hype, and it's gotten such great reviews, so I hope I'm not disappointed. And the last 2 prompts is to read a book from a trope that you don't usually reach for, and also read a small town romance. And for that one I'm going to be reading The Sweetest Thing by Jill Chavez. I haven't read a small town romance in quite a long time, so it fits both prompts. I really love Jill Chavez. She writes really cute contemporary romances with sassy, witty heroines, and every time I read one of her books, I'm just laughing out loud the entire time. The next readathon I'm going to be talking about is the FeelGoodathon, and that was created by Jess over at Jess Nevertheless, and that is happening June 1st through the 14th. And there's both reading prompts and self-care prompts. I'll show you both of the graphics, but I'm only going to be talking about the reading prompts. First prompt is read a book that you have high hopes for, and for that one I'm reading Worthy Opponent by Katie Robert. This is book number 3 in the Wicked Villain series. I read Desperate Measures and Learned My Lesson a couple months ago, and I'm just hooked on this series. I love the fact that they're Disney retellings, but it's the villains who are getting their happily ever afters. This one is featuring Tinkerbell and Hook, and I'm just so excited to read this. The next prompt is to read a short book, and for that one I'm reading Call of the Bear by T.S. Joyce. I've been wanting to read all of T.S. Joyce's books. She writes paranormal romance, and she is a master at writing shifter romances. She has everything from bears to armadillos to crows, and it's not something that you typically see in the shifter world. You mostly see like the more predatory creatures, which makes her writing very interesting. I haven't read her since probably the first couple months of the year, so I do want to get back into reading her. The next prompt is to finish or continue a series, and for that one I'm going to be reading Do You Want to Start a Scandal by Tessa Dare. This is book number 5 in the Spindle Cove series. I've talked about the Spindle Cove series on my channel before, but for those of you that are new here, Spindle Cove is a place where women go to escape the rigors and pressures of the aristocratic society. They don't really want to be around people who just say they should be married already, and if they're not married by a certain age, then they're spinsters. There's a bunch of women in Spindle Cove who are slowly but surely finding love. The next prompt is to read a book with your favorite trope, and for that one I'm reading Angel Fall by Susan E. And this has a hate to love trope, which I adore. This book is set into a fairly recent post-apocalyptic dystopian setting. It's been about 6 weeks since the Angels of the Apocalypse has descended to completely destroy the modern world that we live in. And there are warrior angels that kidnap a little girl, so her sister, Perrin, who is the main character of this book, will basically do anything to get her back. That's where Rafe comes in. Perrin finds him kind of broken and bloody on the street, and she nurses him back to health. And so as they're traveling through California, they really have only themselves to rely on for protection as they try to rescue her sister. The next prompt is to read a book you picked up because of the cover, and for that one I'm doubling up on Furyborn by Claire Legrand. The next prompt is to read one of the host's favorite book, and for that one I'm going to be reading the Bromance Book Club, and that is Jess's favorite book. I've been meaning to read this book for a while, and I'm finally going to get to it. I just love the premise surrounding the Bromance Book Club. In this book, we follow Gavin, who is a baseball player, and he's having some trouble with his marriage. His wife, Tia, has been faking orgasms since the beginning, and when he doesn't take the news very well, she decides to ask for a divorce. So at this point, Gavin is desperate to fix what's wrong with his marriage, and his buddies from his baseball team introduce him to the Bromance Book Club, which is all of them in a book club that read romance to kind of understand the woman's mind and what they're looking for in a relationship. The next prompt is to buddy read a book, and for that one I'm reading Insidious by Athea Romig. I'm reading that with Steph over at Steph's Romance Book Talk and Jen over at the Book Refuge. The next prompt is to reread an old favorite, and for that one I'm reading The Darkest Night by Gina Showalter. This is book number 1 in the Lords of the Underworld series. The Lords of the Underworld is based off of mythology, and the lords were created by Zeus to protect Pandora's box, but they soon get resentful that their entire life is just protecting this box, and so they decide to open it. Once they do open it, they are punished with the demons and sins that lurk inside the box. The next prompt is to read a book younger you would have loved, and for that one I'm going to be reading Vampire Academy by Richelle Mead. I've had the books in this series for quite some time, like 6-7 years, and I still not have read them yet. So it's happening. This is the year. I'm gonna get through this series. The next prompt is to read a book from an author you've never read before, and for that one I'm just doubling up and reading The Bromance Book Club by Lysa K. Adams. And the last readathon I'm going to be talking about is called the Readathon Diaries. That is a Vampire Diaries based readathon, and is hosted by a bunch of people. There are 3 different teams: Team Vampire, Team Witch, and Team Werewolf. I, of course, have chosen Team Vampire, and each team has their own list of prompts to tackle. The first prompt is Salvatore, read a book featuring vampires, and for that one I'm going to be doubling up and reading Vampire Academy by Richelle Mead. Next prompt is Daylight Ring, read a book during the daylight hours, and I don't really have a book set for this one. I'm sure I'm going to be reading most of these books during the day. The next prompt is Damon, read a book with a snarky main character, and for that one I'm going to be reading A Promise of Fire by Amanda Bouchette. This is book number 1 in the Kingmaker Chronicles. In this book we follow Kat, who is desperately trying to avoid the destiny the gods have placed upon her. She is what's known as the Kingmaker. In this book, we also meet Griffin, who is a very powerful warlord who wants to use Kat and her magic for his own gains. But through everything that goes on in the book, he realizes that he doesn't just want her for her magic. The next prompt is Vervain, read a book outside of your comfort zone. And I really don't have a comfort zone when I'm reading. Really anything is fair game. but for that one I'm going to be reading Bully by Penelope Douglas. In this book we follow Tate and Jared, who used to be best friends, but they had a falling out, and now he's just a bully towards her. Once Tate reaches her senior year, she is just sick and tired of it, and she decides it's time to fight back. The next prompt is Sire Lines, read a book with a romantic relationship, and for that one I'm going to be reading From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. In this book we follow Poppy, who is a maiden, and a maiden's life is very solitary, very lonely. No one can look at her, speak to her, and she can't even experience pleasure. She's waiting for the day of her ascension, and she needs to be guarded because basically the fate of the entire kingdom rests on her shoulders, and the guard that is protecting her is Hawk. Hawk incites her anger and makes her question everything that she's believed in, and soon the line between desire and duty to the kingdom becomes very blurred, and she wants more from her life. And the last book is Mystic Falls, read the group book, which is The Awakening, the first book in the Vampire Diaries series by L.J. Smith. So that is it. Those are all the books that I'm reading for the readathons that are happening in June. It's a lot of books. Probably not going to read anything extra. Not exactly sure how many books those are, but I'll let editing Nicole put the number in here somewhere for you. If you've read any of these books and really liked them, let me know, just so I know which ones that I should be starting first. Go ahead and like my video if you did, comment below, and subscribe if you're new. And you can follow me on all the social media platforms. The links will be in the description box below. I'll see you next time, avid readers.